Do you have a brilliant startup idea? Visit our website at eapla.com to schedule a Blue Couch meeting and launch your startup journey today.
Welcome back to On The Cusp. My co-host Matt Snyder is back with me.
Thank you, Dave.
We're live here at Margaritaville Resort and Casino.
It's like a new level.
It is. It just brings energy.
Live from Margaritaville Casino.
It is. You know, Matt and I are just hyped up because we're going downstairs. Okay? All right? And today we're lucky because we've got Etheredge Industrial Services with us, a 40-year company here in Shreveport, Bossier. And introduce yourselves for us.
Well, I'm Mike Etheredge. I'm a career brat, I guess. I've been in the Marine Corps with my dad for all those years growing up. And then I became a Marine myself, and wife and I were in Camp Pendleton Marine Base until we were through, and then decided to get out and come on back. And we went to work for a local electric motor facility. And after some years, we decided that was not the choice we wanted to be in, and that times had changed within the management. We felt like we ought to try to start our own company. And
took that entrepreneurial leap.
Well, you know, I call it trying to stay out of bankruptcy.
That's what most of it is.
You're right. So you know, we were like any young couple. At the time, we were 32 after working in that business since we were 25. And so the biggest motivator for our success was that we were a team. You know, if you're married, you know, you try to go on your own. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. But my wife has always been my supporter and been in the business and worked in the business. And, you know, we're equal contributors and equal partners in that. So I'm very proud of that 54 years later.
And then you came into the business?
At 9 years old.
9 years old.
9 years old, every weekend and holiday, sweeping floors. But no, I tried my hand in sports and in college, and then, but I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I mean, I knew I was going to sell electric motors, and so at 19, I started full time, you know, and I'm 49 now, and in 2018, I took the role as president. And then we did a transition this past year.
All right, so I have to be this a lot, the little kid in the room.
Right.
But an electrical motor, explain that tell me exactly what we're building here.
Well, picture a little motor you have on your air conditioner.
Okay.
And then make that motor as big as that wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are huge.
These are huge. They're large. Anything that rotates has an electric motor hook to it or some type of other kind of control, right? And so it's a very specialized industry. It's not something you can do on your own. If you know, I can't do anything that our company does inside those walls of repair and service. Dennis is like me. We're both sales guys. We can do that part of it. But the actual hands-on, you totally dependent upon those that are employed out there in the service center. And so it's the Marine Corps taught me as a young person how to lead, how to get the most out of people that you could, and how to make certain you understood that they're really the only thing that matters. It's not about me, or it's not about Dennis now, it's about them. You take care of your troops, they take care of you. You transform that into the private sector, if you take care of your employees, they take care of you. So they are way up here for us. We're a very close company with our employees. It's like a huge family. It started out with 5 original employees from the other company that I worked for. And they had enough faith in what we were offering just to come with us and go. And they're all married and they're all in their 20s. We're all in our 20s. And so I said, I can't promise you anything. I can't promise you we won't be bankrupt in 6 months.
Yeah.
But if we do well, you'll do well. And so that's kind of how it started. And they all came. I was surprised when they came that everybody showed up. It seemed like a wife would have said, "Nah, we're not doing this," you know. But we didn't have any money. Talk about this organization here and what you do with companies and whatnot, startups and all that. We had no money. We were just average, low income, 20-somethings and 25 and 60-year-olds, right? And
There's something so fun about that part, though.
There is. When you're young, you know, you're
young
bulletproof.
part where you're throwing it out there, and I remember when I took the leap, and the friends and the guys that take it with you. It's like being back.
It's a journey
college.
together.
I mean,
It is a journey
It
together.
absolutely is. Absolutely is.
It's my favorite part. I mean,
Yeah. Every bank in town turned us down. Every single one of them that we went to.
I feel like that's 90% of entrepreneurial stories you hear.
Yeah.
No matter how big the company has gotten to, starts just like that.
It starts just like that. So for us, you know, I didn't know anything about business, so I was trying to jot down what I thought would be on paper a business plan. And that basically is, here's how much I think we can do, here's what we do, and you know, we think we can do well. So I took that to an uncle in Longview, and he had a successful machine shop business. Well, he had just sold it. Well, as soon as I showed up with that, he thought I was wanting to borrow money from him. I said, look, I don't want your money. It's just I can't get anybody to loan us any because I don't think I have a good business plan. Would you please look at this and tell me if this is a good business plan? If it is a good business plan, I will find the money. And so he looked at it. He said, said, it looks pretty good, you know. But there again, we're not in position. We just sold our business. That's retirement. I said, no problem. So I drive back to Shreveport. I don't know more get there. Then the phone rings and it's him. He's all excited. He called his wife Babe. He said, Mike, I just showed Babe your plan, a plate, and she says the only thing keeping you being successful or not is whether you get the money or not. So we're going to loan you up to $150,000 so you can take that in bank and get some more money. Well, fortunately for us, that helped us get another $350,000 from a bank. So, and then we took all of that and had to buy equipment to build a building. And so by the time we got through, we were almost broke, but we were started. But instead of taking us 90 days, like the builder told me, it took him 9 months to get us in the building. This is a 5,000 square foot building. But hey, I don't build buildings, so I don't know anything about that. So that's how that started. And that's how we got started, and we hit the ground running. And
Who was your first customer?
Well, you're going to test my memory. Our first customer is Texas Utilities Generating Company. Now they're Luminant. You
Still have them as a customer?
We do. Well, Dennis.
That's a testament to the.
Yeah, but actually so he sold motors out of our garage during those 9 months.
Uh-huh.
He still had to have some income. So he was selling motors out of the garage. So actually technically our first customer is Tyler Pipe.
That's true. Tyler Pipe.
Our first dollar bill was from them, and then but yeah, Texas Utilities after that.
That's a true story, and you still got those as your customer. That's a testament to the quality of your work and what you're doing.
Yeah, there are a lot of customers that we've had for 40 years.
So how much of this work is local, and how much are you servicing out of our area?
I'll tell you, local, of course, we do work for here, but there's not a whole lot of heavy industrial just here locally. 20 years ago, it was a really big deal for us to drive 200 miles to go pick up a motor. We currently do work now in 16 states.
That's awesome.
So we have Shreveport, obviously, is our corporate office, and in '94 he started. We have one in Tyler, Texas.
Cool.
And then in 2018 we started one in Lake Charles. And but yeah, we cover 16 states.
All right, you're doing business in Tyler. You're doing business in Lake Charles. I hear Shreveporters a lot of times tell me how great Tyler, Texas is, how far behind we are. I've done a lot of work in Tyler, Texas. I don't think it's any better than Shreveport.
Well,
Am I wrong?
I just can't stand the traffic. I mean, there is no good way to get around that
There's
town.
no way to get around that town.
And-
And I think we have a lot more culture and a lot more to offer.
Well, they don't have gambling over there either.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do on a weekend?
Well, we want them to come to Margaritaville
and they do.
spend their money.
They do.
And that's what we want. We like it. All right.
I think years back we might have been falling behind Tyler
Yeah.
and maybe Lafayette and down there. I don't see it right now.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well, it's so spread out over there, and that's just a lot of old oil money.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's really becoming just a little farther out suburb of Dallas.
You're exactly
It
right.
is.
You're
That
exactly
is.
right.
Well, you know, there's probably, I don't know how many, 80,000 people in Tyler, maybe 100,000 people in Tyler, but there's nothing outside of Tyler to Dallas, nothing to be small towns, and everybody comes to Tyler to do their shopping.
Right.
And so the shopping hub is huge, and the dadgum loop it's 12 lanes instead of 6. You know,
Yeah.
it's just horrible.
Yeah.
But they've got that going for them. Here we have a little different thing going on. When Brenda and I, my wife, when we were entertaining customers in the early days, we had the racetrack was here. It had just opened. And fortunately for me, after getting my first job, fortunately for me, the boss says, well, you know, you got to entertain. I said, what is that? He said, well, you have an expense account. I said, what is that? And so he told me all this. And I said, went home and told Brenda, I said, hey, I think I'm going to like this job. So next thing you know, I found out that everybody in East Texas wanted to go to the racetrack. If you came over the Downs, 3 out of 4 cars every weekend with the Texas plate. Every weekend.
Yep.
I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was
The
just,
racetrack was
I
on
think
fire.
if the Margaritaville
Yeah, it was on
people were
fire.
here, and yet they could tell
Probably
you
the same thing
there's
now.
probably a lot of
Yeah,
Texas
that's just
license plates out there in the
My
parking lot right now.
my grandfather was the head of security at the racetrack during all those days.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good.
Under DeBartolo,
Right.
and
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
had incredible stories of bringing Mickey Mantle to the back room and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think people know how amazing the track really was.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. It was the only game in town, you know, so it was a big deal. And once the casino started coming here, as you know, it just exploded.
Right.
You know, they took that same energy to want to go to the racetrack that had kind of fallen on hard times, and they shifted all that to all these casinos.
So headquartering in Shreveport, staying in, I mean, you guys, you're servicing 16 states.
Right.
You could move your headquarters to Dallas. You could go to a big city. Tell me the importance of staying local and staying in this community.
Well, it's our family. Our company is our family. Our employees are our family, and we office out of, our shops, and we just wouldn't be able to run the company without being there and letting all of our people know that we've got their backs, and people will say what they will about Shreveport now, but I love Shreveport.
Right.
I mean, I do. I've always cared for Shreveport. I love Shreveport history. I love, if you list the amount of famous people that's from Shreveport, it's
Staggering.
it is. But I think, and I'm really optimistic on what the future holds here in the next 5 years. And but I couldn't imagine not being here. I love our community. We live down the street from each other.
That's
so
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
he may have a different reason, but that's why I would never leave.
Yeah, that's great.
Same thing. Same with me. I feel, and my wife and I, Brenda, both feel extremely blessed that we have an opportunity to transition the company to a child in that of Dennis. He's been there since he was 8 whenever we actually signed the documents that we're in business, but he was 9 by the time we actually got in business.
I swept my first floor at 9.
Yeah, he did his first floor at 9, but he's grown up in this business. You go off and try other things and see how you like those, and man, when he came back, it was just great, and he's well respected within the company. Everybody sees him as their leader. They see him as the one that cares for them the most, and so that has the transition from Brenda and I to him was like seamless. it's seamless. And so he just took that ball. I had some surgery about 8 years ago, and when I got out of that, I thought, well, man, what if I'd have died? What would we have done?
Right.
Now, that's why that we immediately made Dennis president, and then he took that ball for several years, and wife and I decided we need to make that transition of ownership, so we transitioned ownership to him this past January 1, and that's where we're at now.
Wow.
So a lot of people say it's hard to do business and grow a business in Shreveport. What would you say?
Well, I will say they may be correct because I'm not in their industry. I will say when he started in '86, no one had ever just started a new electric motor shop. And to this day, people just don't start new electric motor shops. They just don't see it. But we have a great sales force. And we have I have 12, 14 sales guys. That cover all these areas, and they represent our company. And we tell people, when we're on sales calls, hey, if you like us, then you'll like our company. But we want you to come see our people. But I don't know. I don't know if I have a great answer for why people would think it's hard to start a business in Shreveport these days. If you watch the news, you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you believe everything you hear,
which I don't watch the news.
But
I don't either.
If you're in the community and you're in the business community, I think our business community right now in 2026 is very bullish, is very pro doing business in Shreveport.
Yes.
I feel a lot of good movement.
I think there's
right
a lot
now.
of things happening in Shreveport that are very positive.
I do too.
Well, for us, we employ somewhere around 130.
We have 140 people.
140 people, and the majority of them are in Shreveport. And so virtually no one leaves our company once they get there. So they live and breathe in Shreveport area. They buy stuff here. They invest here. What dollars they earn, they spend somewhere here. So we're real proud of the impact that our company can have on an area like Shreveport.
Well, 150-person company is a big nowadays.
Right.
Everybody wants a GM plant. Okay, that's great. 1,000 jobs. But for Louisiana, the average business in Louisiana has less than 150 people in it.
Right.
And that is generally family owned.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's multi-generational like yours, you're having real impact in this community.
And you're bringing outside money into the city, which is
that's what a lot of people don't realize.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, when we made Dennis president that year, we were a $23 million company, and he's taken it to $40 million.
That's awesome.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a big jump.
That's a big jump.
And so, and the Lake Charles facility, it's hard to start companies like this because you're almost 100% dependent on getting people that can actually repair the motors like they're supposed to.
The technician.
We were the first company in 30 years to start a company like us when we did it in 85 and 86. And so when we started the Tyler facility, it was the second company in 40 years that had done that, because it's so hard. And that it also protects us because not just anybody can do it. But all these motor shops that you see on the landscape, they've been bought and sold, bought and sold, bought and sold. So they're the same ones that's been around forever. So that's why we're the first, because people just don't start companies like this.
Now, where do you get most of your technicians from?
We self-train. We have in-house training.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, because we have, manual lathe machinists. That's an old art form. It's now everything's CNC. And we don't do much of that. So you have to literally train someone. Okay, this is how you chuck a shaft up in a lathe. And we're such a specialized industry that we do have to train on site every now and then.
They got to have some kind of skill. You
got to be mechanically inclined.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we tell them, look, once you learn this, you can get a job anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And we hope you stay here. you know. But if you do leave, we just hope you become better because you learned your stuff here, you know.
Yeah.
But we're so specialized. And so we actually have an actual training program. Used to we would just say, hey, there's a wrench, go learn. But now in today's world, we have an actual training program and a respectable one.
And you're able to retain them once you get them trained.
Yes, we are. And look, we like you said, we are a family. To this day, I can't talk to the whole group as, you know, the whole shop as a group. Somebody's going to say, grab the tissues, you know, because they know I'm going to get choked up talking about them, you know. But there have been some that leave, and then usually a lot of them try to come back or do come back. You know, we are a second chance company. You know, there's been several hires that, you know, if you're on hard times and you're trying to bring yourself back, we welcome that, you know. And
you've made a real commitment to the community, and you're a key part of it. You guys give back a lot, I know.
Yeah, we have. Well, an example of our culture, the original 5 employees that we recruited to come to work with us, Brenda and I, all of them, one died in 2009, 2 retired, and 2 are still with us. So all of them stayed with us for all those years.
Yep.
And really all that tells us is you never lied to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. We are a very honest, transparent company, and we're honest to a fault. And, you know, and we're not, nobody's perfect at what they do. You know, we tell our customers, you know, if, you know, we're gonna have issues. If you do work with somebody long enough, you know, you're gonna run into stumbling blocks. But it's how you handle those situations is how you retain the customers. And we just feel like, because we get up in front, you know, and be honest. If we screwed up, we tell you, hey, we did this, but we're gonna get you back up and running. Don't you worry about it. But we're honest and transparent.
Well, you got to do the right thing.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. You got to do the right thing by your customers.
Yeah.
They're going to come
And
back.
same with employees. I mean, we're very honest. And, you know, nothing comes to a shock.
Yep.
You know, if we do something, you know, company wide, it's never a shock to anybody.
Well, great.
You know.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
This is a great story.
I love being able to record these family stories and these businesses that were born here and grew here.
Yeah, and we love family businesses. You know, anytime we do work with somebody, we find out it's family business, we get really excited. You know, we try to support that as much as we can.
That's awesome. Well, thank
you
guys.
very much.
Well, thank you.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love your feedback about today's show and who you think should be our next guest. Send us an email at info@eapla.com. Also, be sure to share the show and leave a comment on our social media post.